Hi, it's Jane, and I am starting a new Afghan. This is the Iris Stitch Afghan, and it is done by daisycottagedesigns.net. Um, I am doing one of the throws, and she does tell you, she has you start with the J hook. That's what I'm using. I'm going to use just a skein here, a skein there. Gonna work my way through different skeins that I have sitting over on the shelves over there. So, and I just chained 130. This is for the, I think it's the lap Afghan. And this uses a multiple of 4 plus 2. So, of course, the first row is you do your chain and then you do a single crochet in each stitch across, and that's what I'm starting now. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Sinuses have been a royal pain today. I've had all kinds of sneezing, coughing. Well, coughing is from the post nasal drip, as you can hear in my voice. I'm sure you can. But yeah, so it's been just one of those days. Eyes are watery, grainy, nose is dripping. As you can tell, cats are kind of funny because they keep running over to me, and then I sneeze and they take off. So apparently they don't like sneezing. But yeah, it's been rather interesting. I told you yesterday about picking up that yarn at Goodwill. And generally, I don't normally pick up yarn at Goodwill, mainly because of the way that my Goodwill overprices things. Many times, you'll go in there and you'll find a skein. I'm going to give you an example of Red Heart that has been partially used. And they'll want to sell it to you for $3.99. When you go to Walmart, I think it's $3.64. The highest I've ever seen it at Walmart is $3.79. So, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder about them and the way they price things. I try to make sure if I'm picking up yarn like that, I get it either at 50% off of whatever the tag is, or at least they do a sale on Sundays and Mondays, which is certain color tagged items. If it's clothing, it's 99¢. If it's housewares, domestics, what is the other one? Domestics, housewares. Oh, they have another name for it. But if they have yellow tags, like this was a yellow tag sale, for some of those, they're 39¢ each. It's a way for them to clear their shelves, which is probably a good idea. But yeah, so that's kind of what I was in there doing, looking for those kind of things. Oftentimes I will go down and look down the domestics aisles because I'm looking for different blankets or quilts or sheets. Many times sheets, I use that for practicing free motion stitching. Sometimes I use them for quilt backs, depending on what the fabric is. Generally, if it is a good cotton or flannel, it's a good choice. Not always. Just depends on the condition of it. But regardless what it is, it's always good for practicing your free motion or practicing sewing, or even using it and what I have talked about on the So Scraptastic channel is doing a muslin or a mock-up of whatever pattern I'm doing or planning. And that's a great way to use that, is to do a mock-up using that fabric or the sheet. You don't have a whole lot of cost in it. So if I've picked up a sheet for 39 cents, it doesn't hurt my feelings to waste it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's kind of what I go in there and look for when I go in. Sometimes I go in looking at different wallets, purse bags to see some of the different options that they do. Occasionally I will pick up a bag for the strap because it winds up being a good strap that I can use elsewhere. The bag may be in bad shape, but the strap is in excellent shape, or those kind of things. Sometimes I go in looking for certain hardware that can be reused. So, it just kind of depends on what you're looking for, those kind of things. And of course, this time of year, they have a ton of Halloween costumes. And I was laughing because they even have some brand new Halloween costumes. They're still on the in the packaging, and even with the original price on them. So I always find that interesting to see that kind of thing. But I'm kind of curious, do you guys decorate for Halloween specifically? Do you go out and trick or treat still? Do you participate in trunk or treats or anything like that? Nosy minds want to know. Well, I already have a weaver's knot in this. This yarn is Premier's Basic, and I believe the colorway is Forest. I'm not quite positive if it is Forest or not, but I need to change this knot because weaver's knots don't really hold real well sometimes up to washing and those kind of things, whereas the a magic knot will hold up to those kind of things, and many times it'll bury itself in the work. The only other one that does that seems to be the Russian join, and you can do the Russian join without actually having a needle. You can kind of do it with just folding those two yarns over each other and working it in that way. You may see a little bump initially, but it usually flattens out pretty quickly. So at least that's been my way of doing things, and I've done both and use them both simultaneously. May use it this way in one portion of the project, may use it the other way in a different portion. It just depends on the mood that I'm in, and depends on how much yarn that I have worked up to that point. I think I missed the videos with Connie and Barb this morning. I cannot remember if she had sent me a message about they were going to be on each other's channels this morning, or if they were on each other's channels on another day. Nope, it was Monday. They were going to be on Barb's channel, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, and then they were going to be live on Connie's at 9:30 Central Time. So I missed it. So I'll have to watch the reruns, but it's not bad watching the reruns. So, that helps each channel if you watch their reruns of their lives. Sometimes you can't find it under the videos. Sometimes you actually have to go under the live when you go to their channels to find them. But generally, they're pretty easy to find, both of them. Oh, goodness. All right, allergies, that's enough of that nonsense. I really get tired of allergies this season and in the spring. For some reason, they just rear their ugly heads. And I had a friend tell me that it's the goldenrod that's out there. And I got to thinking, looking outside back, I think that's what's out there in some of those spots is goldenrod. So I wouldn't doubt that it was that that's causing this issue for me. Because I've been inside and out, several times. So that's always a problem. I have like 2 or 3 Bible studies I'm participant in. And one of them, I haven't even started looking at it. Talk about procrastination. Do any of you procrastinate? I know that's something I do a lot. I'm not as bad as what I used to be, but I still do it. Still put things off. Kind of looked down for a minute there because I heard my phone like typing something. I don't know what it was typing. Can't see anything. Then again, maybe it's Facebook or Amazon or somebody sending me the latest thing that I looked for. An ad or something. So winter is right around the corner, so it seems. It's getting there, isn't it? Fall is here. I mean, we haven't officially reached the fall season, but at least I don't think we have. But I see leaves turning outside my window, and I see them falling, and so I think we're here. At least I know I am in my area. It's starting to happen. Along with the pumpkins everywhere, I've started seeing at church. I've told you about the shelving that we have off to the side that is meant for those that garden to bring in their surplus, to share their surplus with others. So this week I've started seeing butternut squash out there. So, and I always find that interesting, to see the butternut squash. It's always fun to see. And then the only thing I can ever think of is butternut squash soup. And I know there are other dishes you can make with it. But do I turn to those and start looking for them? No. I automatically just go to butternut squash soup. Probably should look at some other recipes. I did not pick up any of that produce today. Although I was thinking about going upstairs when I go to my Bible study on Tuesday this morning and looking to see if they had any left and taking maybe one of it home and fixing it up. All right, I am ready to start the first row, or what they call. Okay. I find it rather interesting the way she has you start this, but it's nice. Nice way to start beginning the stitch. I think it'll make a very nice Afghan. Now on her pattern, she also does call for a border if you would like to add a border. You do not have to, but you certainly can add a border, and she does provide a border that she has used in the past. So, how many of you use borders on every one of your blankets if you make blankets? I do not always use a border. And I'm not sure why. I think lots of times I just look at the blanket and decide, does it really need a border? I mean, there are times that I've done just plain granny square, not granny square, you know, a granny blanket, either in square or rectangle, or even row to row, and don't add a border. And I think it often depends on looking at the color choices I've made with the blanket, and sometimes determining if the color choices I want it to be more feminine, then generally I might add a little bit of a more feminine border. Or if I've got one that's kind of, I think should be more manly, I may use something that has more of a squarish or a pointed look, like a picot stitch, to give it that little bit of what I call a more manly look to it. I know a lot of people don't think of it that way, but generally that's the way that I do. When I'm doing a blanket, I'll look at it and say, is this meant to be feminine? Is this meant to be more manly? Do I need to put any sharp angles on it to make it look more manly? And then I always wonder, why do I think that sharp angles make it look more manly? I'm not sure why that is. You know, we just get these ideas in our head and we just run with them sometimes. Do you guys ever do that? I had planned on going in the back and working on some of the hats with the knitting machine, but quite frankly, my arm is tired from the weed eater. Holding that thing up sometimes wears out my back and my shoulder and my arm, so decided, nope, I'll save that for maybe tomorrow afternoon. You know, just something different to do. Just find it interesting how some of those things play into what I'm going to do or not do. And one of the reasons I wanted to go back there and do the knitting machine is I wanted to try the long tail cast on. I just wanted to see how that works. I do know that Margaret of Sheepishly Sharing has done how to add a crochet border brim to hats, And the method that she uses, although there is one that Mikey of the Crochet Crowd has done, but that one is a little lengthier in the way that you achieve that. So I kind of like the way that Margaret did her brim for adding a crochet brim, for those of you that want to add a crochet brim. And then of course there are ways to add ribbing to a knit machine hat, although they are very time consuming. Basically means pulling those stitches off, letting them drop to a certain point, and then picking them up in the opposite direction from what a knit would be. And I ain't about that. That is just, no way. I've also seen some videos with the knitting machine where people have actually crocheted the border for the hat. And then they take and they place those stitches over the pins. I would think that that would be time consuming as well. So, I have no easy answers. I just like to play with the different variations and see what comes of it. I also saw a video where someone just didn't really worry about it and just kind of finished that first row on its own, either by picking up knit stitches and knitting some additional stitches for a border. So there are a lot of ways to create a border or a brim on a knit machine hat. And then there's also the method of doing it, letting it kind of curl up on its own, not worrying about it. So, a lot of methods, aren't there? But, like I said, the biggest thing is to learn, play, try to learn something new every day, whether it's in your craft or just something in general. And that is a positive thing to do. And I know I enjoy it, so. My allergies are driving me nuts, so I'm going to make this short. I'm going to go lay down for a little bit, take a little bit of a nap, relax, rest, and hopefully this will soon pass the agony of this sinuses. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see you again soon. Remember, try to do something kind for someone else today. And be the light in the darkness. See you guys soon.